Welcome YouTube to a daily cast here. We'll have Julian and Greenspirit pairing up against a Peini and Joke. Wave 1 is about to begin. Oh wait, yeah, the infamous UI killing that I need to remember each time I do that. It's alright, it's not a long time, just apply and then we're good to go. Here we go, wave 1 has started. We have a priestess start here on the Julian. You have a Greenspirit with a berserker start, so a slow start would benefit a 5-worker start, which will be the case of Peini wanting to go for the Holy Avenger. Joke did not send on wave 1 here, still at 25 Mythium. Started with 2 workers with a Bounty Hunter Angler. Angler now generating more mana, means that it is worth it to stay a bit lower on workers to get it early, to have a maximum amount of stacks. And so we do have here Peini at 5 workers, while everybody else is at 4. Julian and Green will possibly go for the 5th during the wave. And here we have Julian placing the Proton here on the split, fearing a 40 cent here, placing the 2 of them. That will guarantee a hold to any 40 cent, but he does not receive here. Joe deciding to save a bit longer. Here, Julian going for the long wave here. The Growl will be leaking here to the Snail, but that does not prevent Peini to go for the Holy Avenger. And on the other side, we don't have a send, but the 40 did come in here against Julian, so this means that he will be able to push to 6 workers, and he will be holding this here. So he might have thought that Julian, that Joke, Joke thought that maybe he could outplay, because since he started 2 workers, maybe Julian would have thought that he didn't get the 40 in time, and so he would have skipped the tier 1 additions. But since the Berserker was a long wave, Julian decided to play it safe here, accepting the fact that Joke goes to 4 workers quite fast and would have been able to get the 40. And so that's what we talk about. He does go to 6 worker. Priestess very strong now on wave 3. Nothing can leak her except a 60 if you don't have any addition. You need an addition for 40 as well. But yeah, let's say with the setup, it needs a 60 cent to break it. So that means that 6 worker is perfectly fine. It does not need much more on wave 4 to be able to hold. This Proton is very key here on next wave. It will be able to tank a little bit of the wave, but the Warg will be the crucial one. We do have the Holy Avenger going on to Peini here. The 60 onto Joke does have a veteran in the split, meaning that he will be able to hold here quite easily. Does he decide to go for the 6th worker, or will he go for a long save approach? He is looking, he is inviting a Sen on wave 6 with the veteran shown, the Bounty Hunters. This means that 7 is less active because the split is remaining on the veteran for a long time. So veteran, it will be a 5-worker game here for Joke. He is aiming to get some wave 6 defense as early as possible. He hesitated here. We did see his gold go down a little bit and then go up. Was thinking about that worker, but decided against it. But what this means is that we have Peini at 5 worker. Does have the Neko on wave 4 because he's getting saved by Julian. In the meantime, he is still ahead in workers with 6. The Varg here was placed here on the side of the priestess. He will be able to hold most of the wave. It is possibly some chickens that will leak. It looks like it will be a hold. Very close. It needs the healing. Does he go to the healing? Yeah, he does get the healing here, meaning that he does hold here in this situation. Will he hold the middle? Does not look like it unless he targets those first. He will not. He will target the first one here. Does have the healing here, so it might be just enough here. The healing ends here, but clears most of the wave in the middle. But 2 chickens and a lizard goes onto the king, no matter. 7 workers on green. 6 on Julian. Decide to go for the Drake, predicting the Growl addition here. Over here, oh, okay, right beside the Avenger, a little bit off center, which is a bit surprising. So he wants a bit more towards the old Avenger. Here, this off-grid positioning here, you see it's not an hexagon like if you have an aura. It's a bit off, a little bit off. It just doesn't matter with the Grawl here because you will sell it eventually. Unless you want it to be a King Claw, then that would have mattered a little bit. But the goal here is just for the Holy Avenger to be tanking a little bit more. And it does attract the Drake here, which is quite surprising. Because now the Nekomata will be dying to this, but this will not go towards the Old Avenger. At least it should not. It will go towards the Grawl. Looks like it does exactly do that. And so this is a clean hold by Peini here. So Peini able to push to 7 workers on Joke as well. He did add Berserker for wave 6, but it is very good on that wave as well to kill the boss. And so even Joke pushing to 8 workers, so he's feeling comfortable now with his bounty hunter. And what's bothering me is that now his angler has been on 75 stacks for the whole wave 4, whole wave 5, and this will still remain on the wave 7 here. So the goal here from him is to go for a upper split here. Looks like he will shift the rest. What I would love to see is to have a veteran right here and then upgrade the angler so that it gains some stacks during wave 7. I think this is the biggest issue currently is that this angler is limited. Like it does not contribute much. He does go towards a worker lead, which is very good, same as Peini. But it's really a question of is this enough? Do you need more than that? Because you're limiting your Kingpin power on wave 10. You do have the Berserker, but you still want for 11 and 12 a strong Kingpin. Let's see, we do have the Brutes here on wave 7 against Julian and Greenspirit. Let's see if it will be effective. We do have the Priestess pretty weak on wave 7 in terms of damage, but very tanky. So it's really reliant on how much you will be able to make her tank during that wave. Let's look at the builds here a little bit more in detail to see what will come out of this. Biggest problem here is that you see this Priestess will not tank much here. There will be a share aggro with the war, then it will go towards the Harbinger. But what's good is that he has the Sand Badger now. Looking at his value, 75 under, it's still very good here. But now it's just, is this Harbinger living long enough to be able to support the Priestess? We do have the Millennium coming out on Greenspirit, so should be able to clear a lot. The Brutes are not that great against the Zerker, so maybe the time... Oh, one Brute getting sniped right away, that is very unfortunate here. And one Brute will not cause that much problem to the Millennium, it looks like. And it will be able to clear all the wave here. It is a full clear from Greenspirit, it looks like. And Julian, what is he looking at? He's looking at a small leak. The Brutes were not focused, and so they will go through. And the Millennium, okay, the Millennium is almost trolling, but it just deciding to clear all the way. 40% leak only on on Bernt, Julian. And so now they retake the worker lead, and Julian is the one saving heavily towards the Holy Avenger. Does they decide to go wave 8? He could also decide to go wave 9 here. He does not see a very strong front line. The play from Peini is probably to go for a Grawl here to be able to do a King Claw. And so if Julian sees that, then he should send here. I decide to not send here and go wave 9, which means that we will see the Nekomata boost. So this entitles him to a very massive leak on wave 9 because the send will be massive from Julian. And the lack of frontline is what is really hurting Peini right now. Maybe they are relying on Joke to be holding wave 9. We'll see. Peini going for some more income here. Taking the income lead. but he is under a lot of pressure. 90 under value, but most of his value is pretty much dead on next wave, which means that the leak is more than possible. We do have Julian here at 820 value, did receive 100 here with the Cannoneer. Might lead to a leak here. The Harbinger does bring, does give a lot of time, but with the Cannoneer and 4 Cobras on the Priestess, this will result into a leak. It will also result into a leak from Greenspirit, which we need to emphasize that he pushed to 13 workers, so this small leak is not that impactful for him. And the reason why he's able to push that much is that Peini is under so much pressure. But they do sacrifice some king HP for that. And now it's just, will this Sen make something happen? So are they looking at wave 9? Are they looking at wave 10 or 11? Looking at the push, it looks like they are going here. They are indeed. Greenspirit is going for brutes. The Kingpin needs to come in. The Kingpin does come in. But in terms of frontline, that's pretty much the only thing he has. So the brutes can be very good here and lead to a leak from Joke. And I would not be surprised to see this leak as well. The frontline is just non-existent. We do have the Centaur, which will expose the Old Avenger very soon. And there is no fortified tanks whatsoever. So the Pierce damage is very good here. Um, So here the pierce damage against the nature, yeah, it's not that effective, but it's a cleave, so that means that the arcane does get more damage. So it is decent. The centaur is getting targeted as well, so that means that the centaur is tanking instead of the wave, which means that it could lead to a bigger leak percentage if the centaur survive. It looks like the centaur will barely survive here at 400 HP, and we do have here the brutes going for some work, one brute remaining only. And it looks like the attack speed on the Kingpin is resulting into a lot of stuff here. But it will result into a small leak in the end here. 3 Carapace will go through. A Centaur plus the leak from Peini. 7 Carapace. So in total, we have 10 Carapace going to the King here. A lot of King damage. Does that equate the HP here? It might just be that. But in terms of worker, we do have Greenspirit very far ahead in the game, 15 workers. But in terms of value, it's still on the side of Peini and Joke. We'll see after the dust settles what is the total gold on each teams. And we do see here it will approximately go towards an equal amount of King HP. So now the workers are coming through. Who will be pushing? Who will be saving? We have Joke saving here on Mythium. He did not send last wave, only Peini did. And Green is going to be able to hold here strong wave 11 as well with the bunk addition. 12 is looking good as well. The Millennium does make it a bit sketchy, but he has good options. But looking at what Julian has, wave 12 is not out of the question. Like, you see the Priestess here, probably going to be a Nazaria on wave 11, but then the front line is pretty much Alpha Males and Lioness. So here we'll have a hold on everybody because those ascents are concluded. We do have the income on wave 11 from Peini here. And so this means that Green will be able to push quite heavily because the weak wave that we spotted, wave 12, is no longer something that is very, very problematic for them. They are going for punch up. We do have the Haven 11, 12 covered. Now we can have the Doomsday on wave 13. And he does have also a frontline for 13 in the Berserker and those Royal Guards. 14 will be the job of the Haven. And then on 15, that's where we see the next problem from Greenspirit. So, but 15 is covered by Julian here. So it's overall good. We do have Joke still saving while Peini is income sending, which is a little bit problematic here because now you relieve the pressure on one other person Yes, you do starve Julian, but the problem is Greenspirit is now having a lot of pressure onto Joke. So Joke, who has a mid-game uh, composition with the Vampire as well as the Kingpins, then he is now having a less of an impact because his teammate did not decide to go with him. But the late game is looking pretty good with Peini having the only Avenger sovereign, but there's no real buff onto it. There's a Vampire that will come out, of course, um, but they are both susceptible to a send on 18 or 19. So if they allow by doing those income sends and asynchronous sends, if they don't use those power units to close out the game before wave 19, then it can speak some problems to them. So we'll see how this one will go. Julian and Greenspirit not sending, they don't feel the pressure, so this means that this resend from Peini and this send from Joke will only translate into a worker advantage and pressure advantage towards Greenspirit and Julian. They have the Doomsday here coming in. A second Millennium here on Green is quite surprising to see, especially on wave 12, but it will be enough for him to be holding the income send here. 120 onto him, so you see him starting to push heavily. We do have Julian also pushing. The Ogre plus the pack does seem to do a very good job, but the delay was there here from Julian, meaning that the Azaria is able to clear most of the wave. And it is a leak, but this is nowhere near deadly for Julian. This is only 2 Mantises with Descend. And 70% might seem a big number, but look at this. This is easily covered in the middle by Greenspirit. And so Julian, yes, he leaks, would have potentially liked to hold, especially for the value he has. But yeah, I think here the board was possibly a little bit of a mistake. Going for an alpha meld next to the lioness could have been a better choice here to allow a stronger lioness as well as a warg. Then you have 70 gold left. Either you go for more damage into another, or you have just enough to get another warg down. So why the warg? Because it's a little bit more versatile. Maybe he expected some magic damage, but he does have the badger in case of that. Um, but yeah, overall, still an acceptable league. And magic damage was uh, pretty a pretty good assumption. But now you see here the situation. They relieved the pressure on Green on 11, was able to push. They relieved the pressure on Julian on wave 12, which means that he is safe on wave 13. And with the Azaria and the Doomsday, they are both safe on 14 and 15. So they have a large window of opportunity where they can play around. But now we see the Vampire and the APS on the Sovereign from Peini. And we do see Millenniums from Joke. So now the question is, do they decide to go 15, where they're strong, or do they decide to go for 16, where you're weak? So with the high push of Green, that puts down a lot of pressure on Joke. He will be massively under already on 14, as you can see 300 under without any building, without building. And on Peini's side, he is still on value, but he's going for the Avenger. So they are banking on the fact they are going on 15. And so I do think that we'll see Peini and Joe going for income king ups on 15. And then go towards a wave 17 cent. But looking at those Doomsday coming out and the Fire Lord, they might decide to go for the wave 16 as well. And so this might be trouble for Greenspirit and Julian. But they need to go towards those work. They need to make the correct gamble. If they read the 16 Sen, okay, they decide to go 15 here. They want to play against the Avenger the classic way, despite seeing the Ocean Templar on them. They realize that they might not have enough frontline to protect it. And so now, Peini and Joke, either they decide we have faith on our Sen, on our build, but no, they decide to go 15. So it will be a match of the sands. We do have Greenspirit far ahead of the others. Does he have the correct units here? Phoenix is susceptible if Peini has a lizard. So he saw what's the positioning from the Fire Lord, and so if he decides to push this 4-eye towards the Phoenix, you will see that Green Spirit will struggle a whole lot here. But from the looks of it, he does not add this lizard. He does go for frontline only. So this means that the 4-eye will go towards the bunk, which is exactly what Green Spirit wants. We do have here also more Iron Scales and Badger on the side of Julian. The boss going towards them. That's very good. The Assyria tanking a little bit here. We'll use the healing. We do have here the Sovereign. It's all about the Sovereigns here. We have only one Sovereign. The Sovereign is getting attacked right now, but the Steeds are helping it. It has lifesteal. It is going on overdrive here, but the 4-eye is on it, and it will die here. But the Holy Avenger is still on the Rage mode as well, but there's just lacking a bit of damage here. But the Holy Avenger will not be able to die here, and so it will possibly be a hold here from Peini. Joke leaking, Green and Julian leaking as well, despite having this area. And that's because the boss survived at barely any HP. So we have the Holy Avenger and Sovereign holding a little bit in the middle, but is this leak enough to kill Green and Julian? It looks like the answer is no. And this leak is not enough either. In terms of damage, we have a clear winner on Peini and Joke, of course. But now, what is the call? Who wants to go where? So we do have the boars here, but in terms of damage, there's barely anything on the side of Julian. We might see some punch-up action going here against those Iron Scale and Badger on 17 if they want to prolong here and not go on 17. We do see the Doomsday here from Joke, and so there might be a willingness from Julian and Green to go 18, especially because now we see that they did not push a single worker. They will bank on the fact that those boars will be enough, and we will see some punch up action on the next wave. We do have Peini and Joke that pushed quite a lot, and we do have here the Sens. The Sens are coming in here for Peini, so Joke will be soon to follow. And now will the decision to not push here will help Julian and Green to hold this wave. So that's the big question here. We do have Julian not leaking, but struggling a little bit to clear. But their goal here is to go for wave 18, it looks like. So it is the winning call. Like if they manage to hold here, it will be very good for them to have a chance of winning the game. But they need to make it work. They need to be holding here. We do have all the punch ups here going for mass boars instead of those. And look at all those punch ups going in from Julian here. That is that is insane how much he used on punch up here. And we do have also the punch ups on Greenspirit for more havens to protect some more bunks here to protect those Doomsdays. The Doomsdays are the damage here from Green. He did sell this Phoenix. He pushed the 4 onto towards split, and so this Haven will tank for a long time. It's all about those Doomsdays from Green, and so it will be. Will it be enough? That is the question. The damage is good. Julian is Julian holding? If Julian holds, even if there's a small leak here on Green, it will be quite fine. And it is a hold here from Julian. And now they are strong on wave 19 as well, but 18 is problematic. So now is 19 the call for them? Is 19 the call? They see that Joke is pretty weak on 18, but they do decide to go on 19. But now they need to realize they are in a bit of a pickle here because now this wave is still problematic for them. They did not push a single worker still, and so they are very committed to the long save here and try to play around the weak wave of the Sovereign. Sovereign, wave 19. And now with the resend coming in, we might see a heavy push on this wave when they receive the send. It is a full send here on Peini from Peini, sorry, and Joke is going for the full send as well, going for the pack mole on both sides here. And now we do have the values. Values were on value here for Greenspirit with 2 Fatalizer, very good frontline paired with the white main. And he did keep those havens. And now we do see the push here. We have Julian pushing quite a lot. He will be leaking here. His front line was pretty much trash on wave 18. And will we see a leak here on Greenspirit? He needs to be holding here. It looks like he will just barely hold here. 2 only going to the king, possibly. But this needs to be a hold here, Green. You need to be holding. Looks like the Doomsday last hit going through. 2 Daphnes against this. Does this win? It just barely leaks here. 79 HP. This is almost dead as well. The king will be able to survive that. 6k HP. How much is the DPS? Around. Okay, that should be alright. Should be them surviving. We do have Julian pushing, but Green not pushing a single worker here. So we have here a hold for Julian and Greenspirit playing very much on the edge. We have the resend from Peini and Joke, and we do have here Julian going for a full push, it looks like. The Doomsdays are sold on Green here, and he is going for more Havens. That is Haven City from Greenspirit. And we have the Pound Shop action again going on the side of Julian, pushing as much workers as he can here, while still having some units. He is only selling if he sees that the worker count, worker queue is not going anymore. And so this will delay a long time, but the damage is not there here on Julian. So it's a partial suicide, just maximizing the amount of worker you can get, and they will go for a resend on wave 20, it looks like. But they are planning to kill them here. The Shaman, the 4-Eye, the Mass should buy enough time to be able to kill those Sovereign. The Sovereign are still not on the enraged state, and they are falling apart here. Wave 19 is too strong for the Sovereign. Julian is leaking as expected, but the delay on Greenspirit is higher. Looking at Joke here, Joke will be leaking as well, but not as much. But the leak from Peini is just too much. And we do have here the delay still going on Greenspirit. He will be holding. And now, can he hold long enough in the middle? Sometimes holding does hinder your capabilities of winning, but it looks like it will be enough time pot in the middle from him to be winning the game here. Very good call from Julian and Greenspirit, really playing on the edge here, utilizing Pound Shop as much as they could, and it worked out perfectly for them. One thing they could have adjusted is maybe use the Pound Shop a little bit more, since they wanted Julian to be suicide pushing after wave 18. Possibly just having him Pound Shop some of those boars to be strong on 18 would have made a big difference for them to be a little bit safer on wave 19 in terms of a race, since Green did hold, but him holding does prevent them from taking 13% King HP damage. So overall, it did extend the wave, but the wave was the longest on Greenspirit. So exactly do the same, but Julian just trying to hold a bit better with a better front line, like Pound Shopping those boars. Maybe he thought that that was the best option. That could be possible as well. I'm looking at this role, doesn't have really a good front line for this wave. The one who had this front line was Greenspirit, so it might have been very good for them to just stick with that. Here the league from Julian wasn't that bad. Two moles were a bit questionable from Joe, but still, those boars just clears all the sand or most of the sand. A delay along in time allows the priestess to do a lot of damage, and yeah, it's just utilizing the power of punch up here in the late game. Uh, like 16, they knew that they wouldn't go because they see the Phoenix, um, they see also the magic damage. They say, okay, that's gotta be wave 17. But then you have the punch up on the Iron Scale, punch up on the Phoenix, get those Doomsdays, get those Havens, and get those Boars. Very, very crucial here for them to be holding 17. The 17 action from Peini and Joke were most likely because they expected the Sovereign to receive on 17, but the long save onto 19 was a winning play and it was identified. And so, very good by Julian and Green. So, on that, gonna say thank you for watching and see you next time.